Well, good morning. We're here on a breezy morning in North Hopewell Township, Pennsylvania. It may be worthwhile to say a few words about where I live, where our family lives. We live in a township where we're lucky enough that you can't buy a loaf of bread. There isn't a stoplight in the township. The nearest stop sign's stoplight is probably 7 miles away. I'm standing in the middle of a public road, and I could probably stand here all day, and I might have to move 2 or 3 times. This road leads down into Blymire Hollow, which is pretty much undeveloped. About a quarter mile beyond the last of this blacktop, it's a gravel road, goes about 3 miles down that hollow. Part of that has a park, about an 800-acre park. So we'll ride down there pretty frequently. We're also lucky enough to have about 150 acres ourselves. Our nearest neighbor has 180. Another fellow that's right next to us has 50. They hunt my ground. We ride their ground. Everybody gets along. So we have places to go and ride. One of the challenges down this hollow, though, is, especially years back, they had what they call steel deck bridges, and we'll walk up here in a minute and look right at the bridge. They are scary to horses, and what they're fondly known as by people who ride down here is horse-proof bridges. So I thought it might be interesting. This colt has never seen the horse-proof bridge before, and I thought I'd bring him down here. We're about a quarter of a mile, half a mile from where our property ends. And, I'm just gonna show what we do to teach a horse to go over something like this using some of the basics that we talked about in earlier videos. So we're gonna walk up here so you can see what it is that kind of spooks a horse about this, this bridge, the way it's made. So we'll go back on in just a minute when you can look down and see what the steel decking looks like. We're right here almost on the bridge now. And we're just going to show what the bridge has to offer you. It's a steel deck, but it's perforated. It's not solid. So it's a grating. 2 things about it. It makes a little bit of noise when you step on it, and it's slick. For that reason, I do not ride a horse across this the first time they encounter it. I've got a lot of horses that will go, but the problem is they'll go by jumping out in the middle of it if it spooks them a little, and you can really you can have quite a wreck if your horse jumped out there in the middle, especially with shoes on. It's slippery as can be. So keeping a couple of thoughts in mind. First off, you don't want to get hurt. Second, you don't want your horse to get hurt. If you're not on him, your odds are better. And frankly, the horse's odds are better, because if he was to jump, at least he's not carrying my carcass on his back. That makes him more likely to fall down out there. So we both stay a little safer. We want to keep him calm, and hopefully we get something accomplished. So I'm not too proud to say I'm going to start this off on foot. So what I want to do is just bring him up here and let him encounter this. Now you want to have some background on your horse to where they lead and they listen to what you want them to do, so that you can make them go forward when you need to on the ground, so that they're going to have a bigger likelihood of success. So I'm going to make what is either a fearless forecast or famous last words and say that, get off me, and see, regardless what we're doing, if he gets on me, which he will do, he gets corrected. So if that was not politically correct, hang around, I may do it again. So we want to give him the opportunity to come up here. You want a horse that will go forward for you, that is not just going to prove how unhalterbrook he is right when you need him most. If you were going to do this in an ideal fashion, you'd have a nice long rope and a halter on your horse, not 8-foot bridle reins. But you know, if you're out trail riding and you encounter something like this, you're not likely to have all of those amenities with you. Now, if you happen to be riding with Makati reins, that might be a good thing. I don't use them. Some people even carry a get-down rope. Cowboys do. You know, if they're working cattle, they need to get on the ground. They may have a 15-foot light rope that they use. That's all good, but I bet a lot of us don't have that at our fingertips. So I want to do this kind of like real life. If I seem a little paranoid, I'm just watching. We don't get a lot of cars down here, but I don't especially want to be the first guy to get run over down here in the hollow. So one of the reasons I'm running my mouth is it lets him get an idea of what this is. And you can see, and if you are listening, you can hear him blowing through his nose a little bit. I would be too. And that's where it's a little bit nicer to be standing on your own 2 feet, because it's not a real good feeling when they get out there one step and then they do the, you know, a plus 1.5 rollback and leave, and you just got to hope they stay on their feet. Worst thing that ever happened in this particular bridge here was I was riding across on a relatively young horse, and 2 mallard ducks took off from underneath the bridge. I startled them. They took off when I'm in the middle of the bridge. That got a little western. But you couldn't have planned for that. I mean, maybe the ducks did, but I sure didn't. So, see, I'm just letting him get used to standing out here in the middle of the road and seeing what this looks like. And we get a little bit closer, and we don't need to hurry. In fact, he wants to stop. So we're going to stop. Because right now, for all he knows, I just want him to come out here and stop. So I don't need to drive him across. In fact, it would be more productive if I turned him away, took him out here, moved his feet around a little bit, then walked back up. And I'm just going to keep that forward motion going. That's all right, you got 1 foot on. That's all right, you got 1 foot on. There, got the other foot on. That's good enough. I'd like him to stop with a foot on there. So we're just going to turn around and go back. And even though this isn't the place you typically do groundwork, you'd make do with what you got. So I'm going to break his feet loose a little bit, walk up here, and show him this is a real easy place to be. There we go. And we got 2 feet on. Now I could get greedy, and he's offering to come forward, but I'm not going to make him do that because I want him to get confident, not just to get chased across the bridge. So I'll take him out here in the middle of the road, move his hips around. Make him work a little over here, not too much. And you can make an argument that it's pretty irresponsible to be doing that on blacktop. Well, he needs to learn to take care of himself. So now, what worries me a little bit with this colt is he's the type of horse who might get the idea that all he has to do is wait a while and I'm going to take him back off this. So maybe I want to be a little bit more insistent, get a little bit more out of him this time. There we go. Wake up. Now this goes ever so much better if you have a horse to lead him across. But again, I don't always have that luxury. See, so I'm getting a few steps out of him. And he's a colt that will quit you a little bit. So I'm going to be a little more insistent with him than with one that was just more sensitive. He's a little troubled, but he also would sell you out. I'm just going to work him on a bit of an angle here. There we go. That was a change. That was a good change. He's also showing some interest now instead of just saying no. Come on up. There you go. There you go. See, he's not taking the easy way out now. And what he's doing now, I admire. The one thing that I will really give this horse is he's careful with his feet and he doesn't want to fall down. And I don't blame him for feeling like this is something that might get him into a jam. Now, if I was a macho type guy, which I haven't been for like most of my life, I would probably get on him and just ride him right across here. But let's go back and forth a time or two. And getting him out here and just sort of hanging out right on the deck is going to make him know that he doesn't have to scamper across. And, you know, sometimes they'll get more scared when they do get their head down and realize what's going on down there. He sees that water, he hears it, and he's troubled by it, but he's starting to take it better. This horse's default motion is to shut down. That means he'll just freeze up before he'll do something real ferocious. But those shutdown horses, when they come out of that mode, I mean, when they wake up from that coma, it's not always real nice. So I'm just pleased that when he does go forward, he's doing it calmly. Whoop. So it's about time to get on him and ride him across here a couple of times. Quit. So he says, I'm all alone. It's a little different when he's all alone. So I'm going to ride him down the road a short distance here, turn him and bring him back across. Now, could I have just driven him across the very first time? Yep. I'm pretty darn sure I could have. But then he wouldn't have learned to figure this out on his own, which he's doing pretty well now. The one thing that you might notice, when I hit this bridge, I'll put a hand on the saddle horn. I don't need him to take a big jump and leave me out there on my backside on that bridge deck. So if I had 3 hands, 2 of them would be on the reins and 1 of them would be on the horn. As it is, I'll reach down and grab leather when we cross. So that's a little bit demanding, but time may come your horse moves a little faster on this bridge. And you may as well get them to where they'll do it. So if I was going to say that there was one concept that this little video might prove, is the most important element to training a horse isn't being the best athlete or necessarily the most knowledgeable horseman. It's just refusing to go away and being persistent and getting them to where they know you're going to be there at the end of the day, and they're probably going to be there with you. Makes everything go better. So we've had real good luck, not a single car. It'd be sort of fun to sit here on the bridge and see how long it is till I see one. But as far as this pony's concerned, I think we've got done what we wanted to today. I'm not saying this is the right way to do this or it's the only way, but it's what I do. And if it helps somebody else get across a horse-proof bridge, then good.